Lagos never sleeps. If you think it sleeps, you are lying to yourself. Even before the sun shows its face, the city is already awake. Horns shout like angry voices. Buses roar and stop suddenly. People rush like time is chasing them. In the middle of all this noise lived a boy named Elior. Not in a house, not in a room, not even in a corner someone could call theirs. Elior lived on the streets of Lagos. Every morning, Elior opened his eyes to concrete, dust, and noise. No alarm clock, no good morning, just survival calling his name. His bed was old carton, soaked with yesterday's rain. His pillow was his folded arm. His blanket was luck. Sometimes he had it, most times he didn't. People say, home is where the heart is. But what if your heart has no roof? Elior stood up slowly every morning. His body was small, but his tiredness was big. Hunger greeted him first, like an old friend that never leaves. His clothes were faded, once blue, now something between dust and shame. His slippers talked more than his mouth, flap, flap, as he walked. During the day, Elior moved through traffic like a ghost. He wiped car windows. He carried heavy loads bigger than his body. He ran after people who promised to pay but disappeared. Some people looked through him, not at him. Some said, "Go and find your parents," as if parents were things you could buy in the market. Others shouted, "Small boy, hustle somewhere else. Hustle." Yes, Elior hustled, but hustle without hope is just slow suffering. Sometimes a kind hand dropped coins into his palm. Other times, a slap replaced kindness. Life on the street had no balance, only surprises. When hunger became too loud, Elior's head would spin. His legs would shake, but he still stood. Because on the street, weakness is an invitation. At night, Lagos changed its face. The sun left. Fear arrived. Big boys gathered in corners. Arguments turned into fights. Police sirens screamed. Rain fell without warning, cold and heavy. Elior learned to stay invisible. He hugged his knees. He held his breath. He prayed quietly, even when he was not sure who was listening. People say, "Be strong." But nobody teaches you how to be strong at 10 years old. Sometimes, memories visited him. A woman's voice, warm food, a laugh that felt safe. But memories are dangerous. They make pain louder. So Elior pushed them away. Still, inside him, something refused to die. A small voice whispered, "This cannot be the end. This is not all you are." He watched rich cars pass him, big men inside, air-conditioned blowing cold dreams. He didn't hate them. He just wondered, is there space in this world for someone like me? People say, Lagos will humble you, but Lagos also teaches you something else. If you survive it, you can survive anything. That night, as city lights danced on wet roads, Elior closed his eyes. He was still on the street, still hungry, still afraid, but his heart was stubborn. And sometimes, a stubborn heart is the beginning of destiny. The streets did not care about Elior's dreams. They cared about only one thing: who is strong enough to survive today? Every morning, Elior stepped back into the same noise of Lagos, but now he knew the rules. The street had taught him fast. Rule 1, if you don't move, hunger will finish you. Rule 2, if you trust too easily, pain will teach you better. Rule 3, nobody owes you anything. Elior learned where to stand when traffic stopped. He learned which drivers were kind and which ones would insult him. He learned how to read faces in 1 second. A smile meant hope. A frown meant run. He woke up each day with one question in his head: how will I eat today? Some days he washed plates at roadside bukas. His hands burned from hot water and soap. His stomach growled while he watched others eat. Other days, he carried loads in the market, sacks bigger than his future. Men shouted at him to hurry. Nobody cared that his back hurt. When evening came and his pocket was empty, fear followed him like a shadow. Because night on the street is not for children. Older boys controlled corners. They fought for space. They fought for money. They fought just to feel powerful. Some of them called Elior. Come join us. Street no be for soft heart. Do small bad thing, survive fast. Their words sounded sweet. When hunger was angry, they offered protection. They offered quick money. They offered belonging. But Elios saw their eyes. Hard, broken, empty. He knew once you cross that line, there is no return. Still, temptation is loud when your stomach is quiet. One night, rain fell like the sky was crying. Elior ran for cover, but found none. Cold soaked his clothes. His teeth shook. He crouched under a bridge, holding himself tight. Cars passed above him, splashing dirty water. He whispered, "God, even if you don't save me today, don't let me become bad." That prayer was small, but it was honest. Another day, police raided the street. People scattered like birds. Elior ran until that day was slow. Not the normal slow of Lagos traffic, but the heavy slow of a tired heart. Elior walked without direction on the streets of Lagos. His body was moving, but his mind was far away. The humiliation from earlier still sat on his chest like a stone. The laughter, the shouting, the way people looked at him like he was less than human. He kept asking himself, how did my life reach this place? The sun was hot, sweat ran down his face. His stomach was quiet now, not because it was full, but because it was tired of complaining. Elior stopped near a small roadside park. Not a fine park, just a place with broken benches and tired trees. He sat down slowly. For a moment, he allowed himself to feel everything. The hunger, the shame, the loneliness. His eyes filled again. Maybe nobody will ever help me, he whispered. Maybe I was born to suffer. Then a shadow fell in front of him. Elior looked up, ready to be chased away again. But this time, no shouting came. A man stood there, not rich-looking, not poor-looking, just simple, clean shirt, calm eyes. The man did not rush. He did not speak quickly. He did not look at Elior with pity or disgust. He looked at him like a human being. "Are you okay?" the man asked. That simple question broke something inside Elior. Nobody had asked him that in a long time. Elior opened his mouth to answer, but only silence came out. The man sat beside him, not too close, not too far. He brought out a small nylon bag and opened it. Inside was food. Rice, warm, real. The smell rose gently. Elior swallowed hard. "You can eat," the man said softly. "No hurry." Elior's hands shook as he took the food. He ate slowly at first, like he was afraid it might disappear. Then faster. Tears dropped into the rice. He did not care. The man waited. He did not rush him. He did not talk. Sometimes, silence is kindness. After a while, the man spoke again. "What is your name?" "Elior," he replied, his voice small. "How old are you?" "I don't know exactly," Elior said, "but I'm still a child." The man nodded. "Every child deserves help," he said, "no matter where they come from." Those words entered Elior's heart and stayed there. Slowly, Elior talked about sleeping outside, about hunger, about being chased away, about feeling invisible. The man listened. He did not interrupt. He did not judge. When Elior finished, his chest felt lighter. The man stood up. "I can't promise you the world," he said, "but I can promise you this. Today is not the end of your story." He gave Elior some money. Not much, but enough. He wrote something on a small paper and placed it in Elior's hand. "Come here tomorrow morning," he said. "There is work, honest work." Elior looked at the paper like it was gold. "Why are you helping me?" Elior asked. The man smiled gently. "Because someone once helped me," he said, "and I survived." The man walked away. Elior watched him disappear into the busy Lagos street. Cars moved, people rushed, but something had changed. For the first time in a long time, Elior did not feel alone. That night, as he lay on his carton, the city noise felt different, not softer, but kinder. He held the small paper tightly in his hand, afraid it might vanish. Hope returned, not loud, not big, but real. And sometimes, one kind stranger is enough to change the direction of a life. Morning came gently, not the harsh morning Elior was used to, but a morning that carried a small promise. He woke up early on the streets of Lagos, his heart beating faster than usual. Not from fear, from hope. The small paper the stranger gave him was still in his hand. He had slept holding it tightly, as if letting go might take the chance away. Elior stood up, dusted his clothes, and tried to clean himself as best as he could. He washed his face with water from a roadside tap. He adjusted his torn shirt. For the first time in a long while, he wanted to look presentable. He followed the address written on the paper. Each step felt heavy and light at the same time. Heavy with fear of disappointment, light with hope of something new. When he arrived, it was not a big place, no tall building, no shining glass, just a small shop, quiet, simple. The same man from yesterday was there. "You came," the man said, smiling. "Yes, sir," Elior replied quickly. "I did not want to be late." The man nodded with approval. "My name is Mr. Aid," he said. "You will help me here." The work was simple but hard, sweeping, arranging items, running small errands. Elior worked without complaint. His hands ached, sweat poured, but he did not stop, because for the first time, his work had meaning. At midday, Mr. Aid brought food, real food, not leftovers, not charity, payment for work. Elior ate quietly. Each bite tasted like dignity. "You did well today," Mr. Aid said later. "Come again tomorrow." Those words stayed in Elior's ears all day. As days passed, Elior kept coming. Every morning, no excuses. He learned to arrive early. He learned to list. He learned to respect time. Slowly, small changes began. His posture changed. His eyes became steadier, his voice stronger. Mr. Aid talked to him sometimes, about life, about choices. "The street will teach you survival," Mr. Aid said one day. "But survival alone is not enough. You must learn direction." Elior listened carefully. At night, Elior still returned to the street, still slept on carton, still heard the noise. But inside him, something was different. He was no longer just surviving. He was learning. He was earning. He was becoming. That small shop became more than work. It became a door. A door Elior was finally brave enough to knock on. Something new started happening inside Elior. It did not come loudly. It did not arrive with celebration. It came quietly. Every morning, as he walked through the busy streets of Lagos to Mr. Aid's shop, Elior began to notice things he never noticed before. How people complained, how people argued, how people suffered silently. At the shop, customers talked a lot about money, about government, about life being hard. Most people talked just to release pain. Few people listened. Elior listened. When two men argued over change, Elior spoke softly. "Uncle, let me count it again." His calm voice cooled the fire. When a woman complained about rising prices, Elior nodded and said, Everybody is feeling it. You're not alone. The woman relaxed. Mr. Aid noticed something. People listen to you, he said one evening. You speak like you understand. Eliar was surprised. I just talk, he replied. Mr. Aid shook his head. No, you connect. That night Eliar thought deeply. On his carton bed, under the open sky, he replayed the day in his head. All his life, nobody listened to him. Now, people were listening. Slowly, Eliar began to speak more. He spoke for boys who were cheated of their pay. He spoke when someone was treated unfairly. He spoke calmly, not with anger. And people listened. Older boys on the street noticed too. You talk like big man, one of them said. Why you no use this mouth for bad things? Eliar smiled faintly. He knew his voice could destroy, but he chose to heal. One afternoon, a small crowd gathered near the shop. People argued loudly about a local issue. Eliar stepped forward without thinking. Shouting will not solve it, he said. Let us talk one by one. Silence followed. Even he was shocked. Afterward, his heart raced. Did I really do that? That night, Mr. Aid sat with him. Eliar, he said gently, some people are born with strength in their hands, some in their money, some in their voice. He looked at Eliar closely. Your voice is your gift. Those words changed something forever. Eliar remembered the streets, the hunger, the humiliation. He realized something powerful. His pain taught him empathy. His suffering taught him understanding. His silence taught him when to speak. From that day, Eliar began to believe something dangerous, that his life could matter, that his words could change things, that the street did not define his ending. As Lagos lights flickered at night, Eliar looked at the sky and whispered, maybe I was not born to be silent. And in that moment, a leader began to wake up. The idea first came quietly. It did not arrive like a dream. It arrived like a question. One evening, as Eliar closed the shop with Mr. Aid and walked back through the busy streets of Lagos, Mr. Aid stopped and looked at him. Eliar, he said, have you ever gone to school? Eliar's steps slowed. Yes, he answered after a long pause. Long time ago. Mr. Aid nodded, as if he already knew. Education, he said, does not expire. It only waits. Those words followed Eliar all the way back to the street. That night, sleep did not come easily. Memories returned. A classroom, a chalkboard, a teacher calling his name. Fear joined the memories. What if I am too old? What if they laugh at me? What if I fail? The street teaches you how to survive. School teaches you how to grow. Growth is scary. A few days later, Mr. Aid took Eliar to a small public school. Not a fancy one, but real. The sound of children reading aloud filled the air. Eliar stood at the gate, frozen. His clothes were simple, his slippers worn. He felt like turning back. But Mr. Aid placed a hand on his shoulder. Courage is not the absence of fear, he said. It is moving forward with fear. Eliar nodded. Inside the classroom, eyes turned to him. Some curious, some judgmental. A boy whispered, "Why is he big like that?" Eliar felt his face burn, but he sat down. The teacher spoke kindly. "Everyone starts somewhere," she said. Lessons were hard. Reading was slow. Writing made his fingers ache. Sometimes he felt stupid. Sometimes he felt angry. But he did not quit. By day, he worked at the shop. By evening, he studied. By night, he fought sleep on his carton. There were days he failed tests, days he wanted to run back to the street. But then he remembered the street almost broke him. School was building him. One afternoon, he answered a question in class. His voice was steady. The room went quiet. The teacher smiled. That is correct. That small moment felt bigger than money. Elior realized something powerful. Learning was another form of freedom. As he walked home, through Lagos that evening, books in his hand, dust on his feet, hope in his chest, he knew this step mattered. It was not too late. It was just the beginning of another fight moved forward. Slowly, carefully, but forward. Elior was no longer just the boy from the street. He worked, he studied, he spoke with purpose. On the streets of Lagos, people now greeted him differently, not with pity, with respect. That was when he met Morenike. She sold fruits near the bus stop, always calm, always watching people with thoughtful eyes. At first, they spoke only small words. Good morning. How is business? Take care. But small words can grow into big things. Morenike listened when Elior talked, really listened. She did not rush him. She did not judge his past. When he told her about the streets, the hunger, the shame, she did not flinch. She said softly, "Your past did not destroy you. It prepared you." Those words tied something deep inside Elior's heart. They grew close, two people shaped by hardship, choosing hope. Later, they married quietly. No big wedding, no loud celebration, just love, respect, and a promise to build together. For the first time, Elior had something else to protect, not just himself. Responsibility grew heavier, school fees, rent, food, expectations, pressure returned. One day, trouble came wearing a friendly face. A man offered Elior a shortcut, fast money, easy influence. "Just speak for us," the man said. "Say the right words." Elior refused. After that, doors began to close. The shop lost customers. Support reduced. Rumors spread. People whispered, "He thinks he is better than us now." Street boy pretending to be clean. Morenike watched him struggle. Some nights, Elior sat quietly, staring at the wall. The same fear he thought he had escaped came back. What if I fail her? What if love is not enough? Then the worst happened. Elior lost his job at the shop due to lies and betrayal. The same street he ran from waited quietly for him. For days, he could not speak. Morenike held his hand. "We will not run backward," she said. "We will stand." They reduced their food. They sold small things. They prayed. Pain returned. But this time, Elior was not alone. One evening, Elior stood outside their small room, listening to the city noise. He realized something important. Before, when he fell alone. Now when he fell, someone stood with him. That changed everything. He lifted his head. "This is not the end," he said quietly. "I have fallen before. I know how to rise." And in that moment, Elior chose again. Not bitterness, not shortcuts, but resilience. The fall was painful, but it planted his feet deeper into purpose. Hard times do not ask permission. They arrive and sit in your life like they own the place. After losing his job, Elior's days became heavy again. The small room he shared with his wife felt tighter. Silence spoke louder than words. Every morning, Elior still woke early. Old habits from the streets of Lagos never left him. But now, he woke up with responsibility on his shoulders. A wife to protect, a future to defend. People who once praised him now avoided him. Some crossed the road when they saw him. Others smiled fake smiles. One evening, a man came to see him. Well-dressed, smooth talker, soft voice. The man sat comfortably like he belonged there. "I hear you are struggling," the man said. "No shame in that." He placed an envelope on the table. Inside was money. "Speak for us," the man continued. "Just words, nothing more." Elior's heart beat hard. That money could pay rent. It could buy food. It could remove stress from Morenike's eyes. The man leaned closer. "Everybody does it," he said. "This is how things work." Elior looked at the envelope, then at his wife. Morenike did not speak, but her eyes did. They asked him a question he had asked himself many times on the street. "Who do you want to become?" Elior pushed the envelope back. "I have been hungry before," he said quietly. "I have slept on the street. I survived." The man laughed. "You think integrity feeds family?" he mocked. Elior stood up. "Integrity keeps me human," he replied. The man stood, annoyed. "You will regret this," he said. When he left, the room felt colder. That night, Elior and Morenike ate little. They sat in silence. Fear knocked loudly, but something else knocked too. Peace. Days passed. Work did not come easily. Money stayed scarce. But something changed. People began to notice. He refused bribe. He returned the money. He stood his ground. Slowly, trust grew. A community leader invited Elior to speak, not for money, but for truth. Elior spoke from his scars, from his hunger, from his fall. People listened. That was when Elior understood something powerful. Integrity is expensive, but corruption is more costly. He walked home that evening under the Lagos sky, hand in hand with Morenike. They still had little, but they had dignity. And dignity, once planted, always grows into influence. Elior did not plan to become a voice. It just happened. After the day he refused the bribe, people started watching him closely, not with suspicion, with curiosity. In the crowded areas of Lagos, people whispered his name. "That man speaks truth. He is not for sale. He understands suffering." At first, Elior spoke only when asked. Small meetings, roadside discussions, community gatherings under mango trees. He spoke calmly, not like a politician, like someone who had lived the pain. "I have slept hungry," he would say. "I have been ignored. So when I speak for those people." Old women nodded. Young men listened. Mothers wiped tears. Elior's voice carried weight because it carried truth. One afternoon, a group of traders called him. They were angry. Taxes had increased again. Their businesses were dying. They shouted. They argued. Elior raised his hand gently. "Anger is real," he said, "but anger without direction will destroy us." The noise reduced. "Let us speak together," he continued, "not as enemies, as people." That day, something changed. People stopped shouting. They started planning. Elior helped them write complaints. He went with them to offices. He stood in front, even when security looked at him hard. Fear tried to return, but courage answered louder. At home, Morenike watched him grow. Some nights, she worried. "The more you speak," she said softly, "the more enemies you will make." Elior nodded. "I know," he replied, "but silence is also dangerous." Soon his phone never rested. People called him at night. People knocked at his door. A woman whose shop was destroyed. A boy wrongly arrested. A family cheated by officials. Elior could not help everyone, but he listened to everyone, and listening became healing. One evening, after a long day, Elior sat alone. His throat hurt. His body was tired. He remembered the street, the hunger, the humiliation. "If nobody spoke for me then," he whispered, "I will speak for them now." The community began to protect him. When lies came, they defended him. When threats came, they warned him. Elior was no longer just a man. He was becoming a movement. Not with banners, not with money, but with trust. And in a city that had heard too many empty promises, one honest voice felt like rain on dry ground. The invitation did not come with drums. It came quietly. One evening, as the sun was sinking behind the buildings of Lagos, Elior sat outside his room, tired and silent. Another long day of listening. Another day of carrying people's pain. Then a message came. Not from a friend, not from a neighbor, from people in power. They asked him to come for a meeting. Elior read the message again and again. His heart beat faster. Politics. That word alone scared him. Politics was where lies lived, where promises died, where good people were swallowed. That night, he did not sleep well. He remembered the street, how power treated him when he had nothing, how officials stepped over him without seeing his face. Is this place safe for someone like me? He asked himself. In the morning, Morenike noticed his silence. They want me to enter politics, Elior said quietly. She looked at him for a long moment. You have already been doing the work, she replied. They are just giving it a name. The meeting room was cold. Big chairs, serious faces. Men in fine clothes spoke confidently. They talked about influence, about strategy, about winning. Elior listened. When it was his turn to speak, his voice shook at first. I am not rich, he said. I do not have godfathers. I do not know how to lie to people. Some smiled. Some frowned. But I know hunger, he continued. I know injustice. And I know the people you have forgotten. The room went quiet. One man leaned forward. You will be attacked, he warned. They will dig your past. They will remind you that you slept on the street. Elior nodded. The street is my certificate, he replied. It taught me truth. Not everyone supported him. Some said he was too clean. Others said he was too dangerous. You cannot control him, they whispered. Still, the people outside were louder. You must represent us. You are one of us. Don't let them silence you. Elior walked through the community that evening. People stopped him, touched his hand, spoke prayers into his life. For the first time, fear and purpose stood face to face. At home, Elior sat quietly with Morenike. If I enter this, he said, I may lose friends. I may lose peace. She held his hand. But if you don't, she said softly, you may lose yourself. That night, Elior stood under the Lagos sky, the same sky that watched him sleep hungry, the same sky that watched H. I am not perfect, he whispered, but I am ready. And so, Elior stepped forward, from the street into the storm of power, not knowing how far it would take him, but knowing why he started. The campaign began like a storm, not the kind that falls from the sky, but the kind that rises from people's mouths. Posters appeared, meetings increased, voices became louder. Elior's face was suddenly everywhere across Lagos, on walls, on poles, on social media screens. Some people cheered, some people mocked. Politics had officially entered his life. At first, Elior tried to focus on the people. Town hall meetings, market visits, late-night discussions under open roofs. He spoke about education, about dignity, about opportunity for the forgotten. Crowds listened. They clapped. They nodded. But not everyone was happy. Old politicians felt threatened. Men who had ruled with money and fear did not like a man they could not buy. So they went digging, and they found the street. One morning, a headline spread fast. From street boy to leader, can he be trusted? Pictures followed, old ones, dirty clothes, bare feet, cardboard beds. People shared them. Some laughed, some doubted. He is too rough. He is not educated enough. He is pretending. Elior saw the images. For a moment his chest tightened. All the pain he had buried tried to rise again. That night he sat alone. Morenike watched him quietly. They are using your past, she said gently. Elior nodded. I know. Silence filled the room. Then Elior stood up. If they want my past, he said, I will give it to them myself. The next rally was packed. People expected excuses. They expected defense. Elias stepped forward and took the microphone. Yes, he said calmly, I slept on the street. Yes, I was hungry. Yes, I was ignored. The crowd went quiet. But ask yourself, he continued, who knows your pain better? Someone who read about it or someone who lived it? Murmurs spread. I am not ashamed, he said firmly. The street did not break me. It trained me. Applause exploded. Still, the attacks did not stop. False stories spread. Threats came quietly. Meetings were disrupted. One night, stones were thrown at a campaign office. Another night, Elior was warned to step back. Politics is not for people like you, they said. Fear knocked again. But this time, the community stood up. Young men guarded meetings. Women prayed loudly. Elders spoke wisdom. You are not alone, they told him. Campaigning became exhausting. Long walks, late nights, little rest. Sometimes Elia's voice cracked. Sometimes his legs shook. But each time he wanted to stop, he remembered the boy on cardboard. He survived worse, Elia told himself. So can I. On the final campaign night, rain fell heavily. People still came out. Wet clothes, bare feet, raised hands. Elior looked at them and felt tears. This was no longer about winning. It was about dignity. And as the rain washed over Lagos, Elior stood firm. Not as a perfect man, but as a true one. The storm had not ended, but he was still sent. The morning came quietly, too quietly. No horns, no shouting, just heavy air hanging over Lagos. It was election day. Elia woke before the sun, his heart beating like a drum, not from excitement, from fear mixed with hope. He sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the floor. All the years rushed through his mind. The cardboard, the hunger, the humiliation, the long nights. Morenike stood beside him. Whatever happens today, she said softly, you already change lives. Elior nodded, but said nothing. Outside, people were already gathering, old men leaning on sticks, mothers with babies on their backs, young people standing tall. They came early. They came determined. At polling units, whispers moved like wind. Will our votes count? Will they allow him win? Are we wasting our time? Some people tried to cause trouble. Arguments broke out. Police watched closely. Elior moved quietly from place to place. He greeted people. He thanked them. He did not shout. He did not promise. He waited. By afternoon, tension grew. Rumors spread. They are changing results. They are buying votes. He is losing. Fear returned. Elior stepped aside and closed his eyes. God, he whispered, I did my best. Night fell. The counting began. Numbers were read slowly, painfully. Every announcement felt like a heartbeat. When Elior's name was called, cheers rose, then silence, then more numbers. The crowd held its breath. Finally, it was declared. Elior had won. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then the ground shook. People screamed. People cried. People hugged strangers. Mothers lifted their children high. Old men wiped tears. Elior stood still. He could not move. This was not victory of money, not victory of violence. It was victory of trust. He remembered the street. The same street that once ignored him was now carrying him on its shoulders. Morenike held his hand tightly. You did it, she whispered. No, Elior, I am not perfect, he whispered. But I am ready. And so, Elior stepped forward. From the street into the storm of power, not knowing how far it would take him, but knowing why he started. The campaign replied, his voice breaking, We did it. As night covered Lagos, songs filled the air. A boy who once slept hungry had been chosen by the people. The struggle had spoken, and the people had answered. The day came quietly, but it carried heavy meaning. Ilya stood still, dressed neatly, his hands calm, his heart loud. Inside him, the street boy and the leader stood together. Outside, Lagos moved as usual. Cars honking, people rushing, life not waiting for anyone. But for Elia, everything had changed. He was about to be sworn in. As he walked forward, memories followed him closely. Not shadows, teachers. The cold ground under cardboard. The hunger that spoke louder than sleep. The insults that tried to name him. He remembered them all. The oath was read slowly. Each word carried weight. When it was time to speak, Elia's voice did not shake. "I swear to serve the people," he said. "Not to rule them, not to use them, to serve." When it was done, applause filled the room. Cameras flashed, hands stretched toward him. "Honorable Minister." The titles felt strange. As people congratulated him, Elia smiled politely. But inside, he was careful. Power is loud. It can make you forget. Later that day, Elia asked for something unusual. He did not go straight to celebrations. He did not lock himself behind big doors. He asked to walk, to feel the ground. He walked through familiar streets, past bus stops, past markets, past corners where boys still slept outside. Some recognized him. "That's him. He is one of us,"